Ulysses 31 is an interesting anomaly from the 1980s. It's one of those shows that is for a very young audience. The DVDs in England have a UC rating, particularly suitable for children, a certificate normally reserved for the likes of Teletubbies and preschoolers, yet it still holds up to its own with older audiences too, and with good reason. The animation is amazing, the storytelling jaw-dropping, and the music so dynamic it fits in well with the epic tale it is telling. Its level of cartoon violence is well balanced for an action show of its time, and even though the dubbing might be a little simplistic in places, it still doesn't deflect from the space opera it is so clearly defining. Ulysses 31 is a good example of how to tell or portray an epic tale and still have something that can appeal to all audiences. And it would be awesome if many animation studios today could learn something from this series. It was a pretty damn well researched and promoted series too, in both France and Japan, who have had a long and healthy relationship in the animation industry for many decades. If you look hard enough, you might be able to find the original pilot somewhere, though I was fortunate enough to have the VHS version released in Japan in the 1980s, and that's quite the find. I mean, everything about this series screams epic. It's not surprising considering the myth on which it is based. Imagine throwing the Greek pantheon into another universe. I mean literally, a vast, hidden universe. In this case, Olympus, and one man on his ship, alone, pitted against the gods themselves. And you have Ulysses in the 31st century.
It is the 31st century. Ulysses killed the giant Cyclops when he rescued the children and his son Telemachus. But the ancient gods of Olympus are angry and threaten a terrible revenge.
Mortals, you defy the gods? I sentence you to travel among unknown stars. Until you find the kingdom of Hades, your bodies will stay as lifeless as stones.
Ulysses, no one else can do the things you do. Ulysses, always fighting all the evil forces, bringing peace and justice to all.
As we take a break, not sure how long, as my god, the film is so boring, from Robotix, we're going to focus on episode 1 of the Ulysses 31 series, and then continue. Why take the break? Well, to be fair, Robotix the movie was not really a movie, but 3 episodes thrown into one, so I'm not going to waste an hour of your time going over 3 episodes of nothing in one go. And I need to escape that travesty for a while, so please, grant me some mercy. You know, it's very refreshing to see a series that was so well produced it would appeal to audiences of all ages and be better than any of the action yarn we've become so used to over the 80s. What started with the Transformers, yeah, I know there are others, but Transformers was the series that set the mold, ended up with giving us very jaded clones for so long. It's easy to see why this was such a success. It's very well written and original, as I said before, but it's also refreshing and educational at the same time. It's not just an action piece, you're learning something about Greek mythology over time as well, and that's why the show works so well. You have no idea you're learning something as the story develops, and that's a very creative way to engage the brain. It's something that many shows have tried to emulate since, from Where is Carmen Sandiego through to the patronising works such as Captain Planet, through to Blue's Clues, and surprisingly, I love that show too. So yeah, it's a refreshing break from robotics. Ulysses 31 is a very formulaic series, yes, but it's not repetitive, unlike its more, well, I say mature peers, as it's hard to say Transformers and G.I. Joe are mature in comparison considering, but it's the only word I can really come up with. The stories do not involve the standard evil plot of the bad guys trying to take over the world.
Of course!
That meme is never going to grow old, is it? You got a lot to answer for, nostalgia critic.
You're a waste of thought.
Bat credit card.
I apologize for that outrage. It was childish and immature. I just get a little peeved when I see one of my childhood icons carrying a bad credit card, you bastards! I'll kill you! I'll kill all of you! All of you will die! You'll get like that!
Neither does that.
God damn you, Joel Schumacher! God damn you to hell!
I take things way too personally. I gotta admit, the first episode doesn't waste any time setting the scene or the obvious proto-historical connections, like this Spartan helmet-shaped station here. It's clear that Ulysses is more than just the space captain, but something far more important, as the futuristic culture of Earth is summed up quite neatly in a few sentences.
What a shame that you have to leave our splendid base here at Troy, Ulysses. I know that the situation is bad on Earth. Impatient princes threaten the peace.
Yes, Priam. You know the conditions, but if I don't return before the next comet streaks across the sky, my wife Penelope must choose another husband for herself.
I know, Penelope. She'll devise ways for waiting. Before you leave, let's give Telemachus his party.
See? Very neat. Quite clever writing in many ways. It gives a good and brief insight into how things are in the future without bogging down the rest of the episode with a pointless narrative that goes on forever. Unlike some films and series I don't want to mention. Not that it's important to the series as a whole, but it gives us a good insight into what will eventually become Ulysses' plight as the episode progresses. Even his demeanour comes off as a very noble and honourable man in the first few minutes who cares deeply not only for his son and crew, but for all life as well. Already I feel comfortable putting my life in his capable hands, and I can see why he commands such loyalty from his friends and crew. We're also introduced to Telemachus, the son of Ulysses, and of course Nono, a small cute robot who you'd think would both be annoying additions to the series, but surprisingly they warm to you quite quickly, as again this show is so well written there are no truly annoying characters in the series, even though Nono should fit that role very well.
Telemachus, let me introduce Nono, your own robot.
A robot for me?
That's right, a robot all your own. Here, maybe you'd like to munch on a small bowl.
Another thing is the Odyssey, Ulysses' ship. It's so impressive it marked itself off as one of the most recognizable ships in sci-fi lore, even if you can't place the series. It's massive in scale, the technology looks awesome, and its single eye is the most impressive icon design I've ever seen for any series. They didn't just slap a stick together and call it good. They did some serious work on the design, and the eye, as I mentioned before, is a reminder of the legend of the Cyclops that made the original Ulysses so famous. And that's going to be an important point later on in this episode.
We are leaving the orbit of Troy.
So as they leave, the ship's computer Shirker detects a previously uncharted planet, which though confusing the crew, can't be of much concern now, can it?
Odyssey crew on alert call. Attention, attention. Ulysses, I suggest visual display on central screen.
Why? What is it? Is something wrong?
I detect an uncharted planet across our trajectory 1025.
That's strange. There aren't supposed to be any planets in this zone.
I have run a total scan. This planet is not entered in any of my memory banks.
Well then?
Shirka, have you checked our space heading? We are on 1025.
I have already verified our position.
Very strange. The Odyssey will maintain its original trajectory. Enter this planet into file diary and store data in main memory bank.
Data recording programmed.
Oh crap, that's not good.
The mass of vapor. It seems headed right for us.
Affirmative. Vapor will collide with the ship in 30 seconds.
Activate protection screen, Shirka.
Protection screen programmed.
That's not very good.
Look at that fantastic light!
It's coming at us.
Actually, that's pretty bad. Okay, we've gone off the level of pretty bad and into... Oh my fucking god, this is awful! Panic stations! Panic stations!
The bright vapor has just left on a trajectory vertical to the ship's main garden.
Give me the emergency channel. Class A alerts. Stand by.
Seems to have taken something with it.
Shirka, a close-up. Telemachus. No! No!
And that's why this episode works so well. There is no fluff, just story, and that's a key element to any successful series. With Ulysses' son captured by an unknown force, the desperation is set and the personal tragedy is in play as Ulysses must balance his command over the concern for his son. And we'll get to how he handles that shortly. Here the scene is set with both trepidation and mystery. The scenery is intimidating and the music composed by Mike Egan is just awesome. His music just carries the show into an epic tone that very few shows have been able to emulate since. And credit must be given that I can remember every incidental music here with such clarity. As it turns out, Telemachus meets with two young aliens from Zatra, Numenor and Yumi, who both explain that they have been captured to be sacrificed to the Cyclops, a terrifying beast that grants the residents of this world the gift of sight. It's a pretty gruesome fate when you think about it, and it scared me as a kid just to see these three in this situation.
There's their idol, the Cyclops. It steals children and takes away their energy and gives it back to its disciples. They need it.
But why? To give them light. That's why we were stolen. Very soon, I'm afraid it'll be our turn. But why such a sacrifice? Why children? I don't like it.
Without the Cyclops, they'd all be blind.
Those aliens didn't help either.
It must be an alert. They're all being called somewhere.
Look, it's our spaceship, the Odyssey. Surely my father's in there. If only there was a way that I could let him know that I'm here. There is.
But of course Yumi has another gift. Yeah, I suppose you could call it a plot device, but even this isn't ignored throughout the series, as it does have its consequences. She uses her telepathic powers to help Telemachus communicate with her father. Every blue alien has that ability, I'm sure you've noticed that by now.
Telemachus. I can hear his voice.
What is it?
Telemachus. It is his voice. He's calling me. He is a prisoner in the temple of the disciples of Cyclops. They're all blind. By the great galaxy, he's going to be sacrificed.
Well, Ulysses isn't going to let them take his son without a fight, so he flies down alone to save them. Now, if I were his first officer, I'd advise against that, but considering who the man is, Ulysses is probably making the only real choice he can, putting his crew first over his feelings. By going down alone, he is protecting his crew from potential harm because for him, this is personal, and any rash decision on his part is a potential risk. It also highlights his nobility and bravery, and I can't fault him for making this decision. Of course, it's here we see the dark and parasitic nature of the Skulk world. The aliens don't just need this creature, they worship it, largely because it is the key to their sight, and later on we'll just see how important this devotion is and how it impacts on the rest of the series. But here we can see a form of tyranny that, though powerful and intimidating, is nothing compared to the tyranny of Olympus. But you've got to admit, the Cyclops is purely Lovecraftian in both appearance and scale, completely alien, ancient and tremendously powerful, What possible hope could Ulysses have against such a creature?
Monk's blind. The Cyclops.
And we're only exactly 10 minutes into the first episode. You can see how I was glued to this as a kid, and still am by now, I'm sure. The Odyssey approaches, but as you can imagine, neither the residents of the planet or the Cyclops take kindly to the intrusion, and show their displeasure rather directly.
Remain calm, we have nothing to fear. Strike it down, Cyclops. Show your power, O creature of Poseidon.
No! Not the ship! It's too dangerous, Nestor. Maintain your distance. Send me a research module. I have to save Telemachus.
As you order.
Again, Ulysses, being the charismatic leader, won't put his ship at risk, even for the sake of his own son, and that's quite the difficult choice for any commander and father. Seeing his son, he leaps into action, and this is where we see the weapons Ulysses has. A gun that turns into a lightsaber and an epic light shield. How cool is that? But it's his shield he uses the most. In fact, he's nowhere near as violent with the aliens as he is in the pilot. I mean, look at that. He's killing them left, right and center. But in the actual series, he's holding back. And I find that to be rather admirable in the man. We also see his wisdom at work. Even under stress, he instructs Nono, a surprisingly brave and loyal little robot, to aim the disc of the research drone at the Cyclops and destroys it.
Galaxies is dangerous. Stop.
No, aim the beam directly at the Cyclops' eye.
Right, Commander. Oh.
Quick! Everybody to the shuttlecraft. Get away before the whole place blows up.
Poseidon, if the Cyclops was truly your creation, grant that Ulysses will never return home. Zeus, supreme overlord of Olympus, avenge us. Show this earthling that no one can defy your mighty will.
And the entire planet, apparently. Well, this show got off with a real bang.
I just saw what looked like a strange face, did you?
Yes, it looked like an ancient Greek god.
A Greek god in the 31st century? How could such a thing be possible?
Yeah, I've got to admit, that's not something you see every day. So Poseidon challenges Ulysses, who is quite brave and stalwart given the circumstances. He actually argues with a god!
Ulysses.
I am Ulysses. Why?
Why did you destroy my Cyclops?
Why did your Cyclops steal my son?
Who do you think you are to defy Poseidon?
Listen, Poseidon, not even a god has the right to steal a man's son.
Miserable Earthling, mighty Zeus, show your power.
No, perfect timing. I was just telling my son about all the wonderful ideas you have.
You know, I try to avoid religious connotations in my show, but this has to piss off the radical Christian community somewhat, given the story of Isaac and Abraham.
An idea from the Lord? Oh, please tell.
Yes, I will. And, okay, and do tell me if you think this is sort of, well, out of order, you know.
What?
Right. Well, my new idea is human sacrifice!
What?
You know, human sacrifice? I think you should kill someone. And I was thinking you should kill Ivan.
Ivan?
Ivan, your son?
Oh, Isaac!
Isaac! I'm so sorry, yes, Isaac, yes, Isaac. I think you should kill Isaac. So, what do you think?
Brilliant!
Really?
Oh, yes, Lord, another winner. Ivan, rustle up a pyre, we're making a sacrifice.
Ivan? I thought you said his name was...
Oh, no, Ivan's a much better name, Lord. You were right. Oh, I can't wait to see the look on his face.
Moving on, the anger of the gods has to be the most terrifying memory from my childhood. The scope is just awe-inspiring and powerful. It's almost reminiscent of the final scene in the Disney film The Black Hole, another powerful memory of mine. But I'll be reviewing that next month. Here we look upon the gates of Olympus as Zeus, a rather petty god in my opinion, casts down his harsh judgment on Ulysses and his crew, exiling them to the universe of Olympus and putting the companions of Ulysses into a deep floating sleep. It's a powerful, evoking scene to watch as Ulysses is spared the sleep, being protected by the Iris whilst repairing it, and even more powerful as he returns to see what seems like a ghost ship.
Nestor? Euryclea, where are you? Companions! Companions, where are you? Companions, answer me!
Vengeance of the gods has started.
Telemachus!
Oh!
Telemachus!
Though reunited with his son and Yumi, the anger of the gods is made manifest as they look upon the floating, sleeping companions hanging listlessly in a huge compartment deep within the ship. It's a haunting image that remains a constant reminder of what is at stake for Ulysses and his quest to find the kingdom of Hades. And we are left with a promise from Ulysses that inspires both hope and the audience only too well, as we know if anyone can keep it, Ulysses can.
The gods took revenge for the death of Cyclops. They've turned all our companions to stone, but we'll find out how to break this curse, I promise. I will discover the kingdom of Hades and the route back to Earth, I promise you. Don't cry, Yumi.
Don't cry.
Ulysses, Ulysses, the route back to Earth is wiped from my memory. The ship is now entering unknown space.
And so began for Ulysses, Telemachus, Yumi, and Nono, the most fantastic of all voyages through a mysterious and secret universe ruled by hostile gods, lost and helpless in the strange cosmos of Olympus.
And there we have it, The Vengeance of the Gods, episode 1 of a fantastic series that I'm looking forward to getting back to in future episodes of NJ4K. I cannot truly fault this episode. It sticks to the story without distraction. It tells so much in such a short time you don't feel you've sat through 24 minutes. Whilst I might criticise the dubbing, I can't really fault it considering the age group it was intended for, and considering that they still managed to maintain a level of maturity that even adults could appreciate. Matt Burnham plays Ulysses so well as a wise, caring and determined man. His voice carries so much charisma that I'm hooked on him, and I'm sure he has his fair share of fangirls out there too. So on that note, I guess I should score this thing. And remember, as Sci-Fi Debris says, each episode is rated on the merits of the episode in relation to the series. And Vengeance of the God comes out with a fantastic 10 out of 10 for perfect execution. So until next time, ciao.